In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 most asked questions at Sam's Club interviews, and I'm going to help you prepare for your Sam's Club interview in a way that will really impress them. So let's start with the first question that is guaranteed to come up in your interview, and that is simply, when can you work at Sam's Club? And a lot of people massively mess up this question and lose the whole interview here. However, I'm going to show you the correct way to answer this question that scores highly and gets them interested in hiring you. So fundamentally, there's 4 things you need to think about. Firstly, you want to show that you are flexible. The more flexibility that you can show, the higher they're going to score you on this question and the more seriously they're going to take you as a candidate. The second thing you can do in this question is emphasize reliability. Be very clear in this question that reliability is very important and that you are happy to commit to being reliable and that you're always on time and you have a track record at previous jobs of being reliable. The next thing you want to do is to demonstrate a can-do attitude. So when they're asking about various times, you want to try as hard as possible to say yes to them. You don't want to volunteer any times that you can't do. You want to be focused on what you can do. The way that people screw up this question and cause big problems is they immediately say all the times that they don't want to work and that they can't do, and then say they can work other times. And that is a really bad way to answer this question, and it comes across very negative. Fundamentally, you want to show commitment to your job. And when you're giving lots of reasons why you can't work at certain times, that causes them to question whether you are really committed to Sam's Club. The other thing you can do to be successful is to think about the things that Sam's Club like to hear. So they want people that are very open-minded, that are going to say yes to as many times as possible and have that flexibility. They would also like people who are happy to work evenings and weekends. Of course, you won't be working every single evening and weekend, but that you have that flexibility, that you're willing to do that sometimes. Also, if you're happy to work some holidays, that's a time when Sam's Club can be particularly busy. Mainly around Christmas is a really big trading time for them. If you're happy to work at short notice and you're open to overtime, that's another great thing to mention in your interview. It may be that you never have to work at short notice and there isn't any overtime available, but the fact that you've simply mentioned it is you're showing off some extra flexibility and you're showing that you're really open-minded. The next thing that you can do is simply say that you're happy to work to meet Sam's Club's needs. And if you say that, that's a really reassuring and good way to end this question. So if you follow the tips on this slide, get those 4 ideas in and mention as many times as you can on that list, then you're going to be successful in this question. So let's move on and look at a really important question, which is simply, what do you know about Sam's Club? Obviously, there is no point going to a Sam's Club interview without having done your research. The research is one of the key things that can set you apart from other candidates, and this is a great opportunity to impress them. So I'm going to show you how you can answer this question and then run through those facts that you need to know to be successful in this question. So fundamentally, when you're answering this question, you want to start in the middle of that diagram and then move your way out. So you start by talking about the things that are really obvious, show off the basics of the company, then show off some good research, show that you've actually taken some time to learn about the company, and then you want to do a few things to impress them by showing off some knowledge that only very few people who've really done great research would actually know. So let's run through those facts that you need to know. So firstly, you want to talk about Sam's Club as being a wholesale club. They sell things in bulk, in much larger sizes, and they appeal mainly to people who are looking for a bargain. They want to get the brands that they love, but they want to get them at a much lower price by buying larger quantities. It's also very appealing to small business owners who use Sam's Club as one of their suppliers. They follow what's called a big box format. So you've got very large stores, much larger than your average grocery store. And they are basically arranged like warehouses. If you go into a Sam's Club, it looks very much like a warehouse. They are focused around bulk buying. So everything tends to be in much larger sizes. That's how they can offer better value. They are a membership-based organization. You can't just walk off the street and start shopping in there. You have to actually sign up for membership. There's basic membership and plus membership that have different benefits, and you should look at what the current benefits are of the different levels of membership. They are always referred to as clubs. These are membership organizations, and they are only supplying to the people who are actually members. Fundamentally, Sam's Club is a Costco competitor. The businesses are very similar, and the two companies compete with each other very vigorously. The company was, of course, founded by Sam Walton. That's why it's called Sam's Club. You may recognize the Waltons as those people who are behind Walmart. The company was founded in 1983 and is, of course, owned by Walmart. It is part of the same business. You should be aware of their private label brands. So look at the brands that are owned by Sam's Club. What are the brands that you can only get there? These, of course, change. So have a look on their website and learn all of the key private brands that are offered. They are, of course, expanding internationally, and currently they are focusing on China, Brazil, and Mexico to grow the business. There is a lot of in-store services that are offered. It's not just food retail that you're getting there. You can buy a wide range of goods. There's also pharmacy in most stores. There's a florist, optical center. You can get fuel in some locations. There's hearing aids, there's cafe, the store bakery, and lots of other services. So look on the website of the store you're applying to and see exactly what services are offered there. And finally, you should also know about the credit cards that are offered by Sam's Club. What is the current offer? What are the points? And you can talk about that in your interview as well. And my top tip is to visit the Sam's Club news page. And on that page, you can get current news and events from the company, and you can show off some current up-to-date knowledge about the business that only a few people who've actually bothered to read the news about the company would actually know. So let's move on and look at a customer-focused question now. One of the customer-focused questions that you can expect is one around how would you deal with a complaint from an upset customer. So you often get questions in Sam's Club's interviews about dealing with angry customers, difficult customers, or complaints. And this procedure that I'm going to teach you actually covers all of those possibilities. And when you're answering this question, you're always thinking about 4 things to talk about. Firstly, when you've got an angry or upset customer, you're always focusing on reassuring the customer that you're listening, you're paying attention, you care, and you're also de-escalating the situation. If a customer is angry, your ideal thing is that that customer is going to stop being angry, that you're going to get the situation under control and you're not going to provoke them and make it worse. One of the most effective ways to de-escalate a situation and deal with a complaint is to show that you're really actively listening and that you actually care about fixing it and you genuinely care. Often when people are annoyed and making a complaint, they really want someone to actually listen to them and be taking them seriously. And if you do that, it does go a long way to actually calming the situation down. The next thing you always mention in the context of complaints is that you will stick to Sam's Club's policy. That you're not going to make up your own policies. You're not going to allow customers to return goods when they're not entitled to a return. You're always going to follow the policies that are set down by the senior leadership. The next thing that you should always say is that your goal is to turn the frown upside down. Fundamentally, what you want to do is take a customer that's had a bad experience and turn it into a good experience. And if you can do that, you are going to be doing a great service to the company and improving their reputation. And so if you get these 4 ideas into any question about upset customers or complaints, you will score highly on that question. The next question you want to be prepared for, and you really want to prepare for this because if it comes up and you don't have a good answer, you can answer it really badly. And that question is, why did you leave your last job? And on this question, there is good things to say and there is very, very bad things to say. So I'm going to show you some good reasons you could talk about for leaving your last job and some really bad things that you do not want to mention. And if you mention these things, you could blow the whole interview. So we've got the plus things and the minus things. So the good things to say is that Sam's Club presents a better opportunity, that this is an advancement for you if you're applying for a higher level position than your last job, for example, or if you just think that you'll enjoy working at Sam's Club more and that you're really excited about the opportunity, that's a positive. If your family is moving from one location to another and you had to leave your last job to relocate, that's a perfectly reasonable reason. You want to talk up Sam's Club, focus on the positives. You can also think about reasons why you had to leave, and good reasons are restructuring, so the business just changed the number of people they employ, or that your employer went bankrupt. They are like the best reasons for having left because it had nothing to do with you. And then you should always say, if it is true, that you could be hired back by your last employer. You're leaving them, but if you wanted a job there again, they would hire you back really quickly and they're really unhappy to have lost you. That would be a good thing to say. Some things that you absolutely must not mention under any circumstances because it will really hurt your chance of getting a job is if you talk about any conflict. It may be that the conflict was not your fault at all, but Sam's Club generally will just assume that you're going to be the problem. Any conflict you discuss in an interview, any interviewer will see that very negatively. Don't say anything negative about your last manager, even if they were completely awful. If you were fired, you don't want to talk about that in great length. I got fired for, and they will really zoom in on that. If you start talking about being fired, they'll want to know everything about why you were fired, and it really doesn't go down very well. If you talk negatively about a coworker, that is an absolute no-no. If I was interviewing someone and they started saying bad things about someone they've worked with in the past, I would probably just not hire them. That would be the end of the interview. And if you say nasty things about the company they're leaving, even if they're true, it's going to come across very negatively. So focus on the good things to say, at least pick one of them and go to town on it. Absolutely do not mention any of the bad things at all, because it will massively reduce your chances of getting the job. The next question that you want to think about is, why do you want to work at Sam's Club? And this question is, of course, absolutely key. You must plan out this answer, and I would really recommend that you actually script this whole answer with bullet points and learn it, because this is such an important question and it's such a great opportunity to talk about the reason you actually want to work there. And if you're not really compelling in your answer and you haven't planned it well, it goes really, really, really badly. So must have a good plan to be successful. And I'm going to share with you the things that you need to include in this answer and the things you can talk about that help you score really well on this question. So here's my basic checklist. So think about, why would you enjoy working at Sam's Club? What is it about Sam's Club that you would actually enjoy? Do you enjoy working in retail? Have you got experience working in retail and enjoyed that in the past? Do you like the Sam's Club brand, for example? Think about those sort of things, working with customers as well. These are things you can talk about as to why you would enjoy working there. If you're convincing on why you would enjoy it, that links up with why you'd be good at your job and why you actually want to work there. Think about the skills that you've got, particularly if you've got customer service experience or you are someone who would be really good at working in customer service. That would be a good link to why you want to work there. I've got these skills. These skills match up with Sam's Club, and I would therefore be good at the job and therefore enjoy doing it and want to work there. Talk about the training that you can get at Sam's Club and the progression. A lot of people in Sam's Club have been promoted internally, so there is good opportunities to move up in the business. If you've got interests that link to Sam's Club's products, talk about that, and you must show some enthusiasm. And that's why planning it out is such a good idea, because instead of focusing on what you're saying, you can focus on being enthusiastic. Some other things you can include is your career plans. Do you plan to work long-term in grocery retail and in this sort of business? If that's true, definitely talk about that. If you see Sam's Club as a short-term job, don't mention that. That's not going to go down very well. If you've been referred by another employee, so someone who works at Sam's Club has suggested that you should apply and they really love their job and they like the company, you can say that. You can say all the positive things that you've heard about the company and share in that employee's enthusiasm for the company. You could list your key skills and match that up with the job at Sam's Club and link that to why you want to work there. You want to work there because you have these skills and Sam's Club needs these things. And you can also use this as an opportunity to remind them of why you've got the right skills for the job. You can mention that roughly 75% of all the promotions at Sam's Club are of people who actually work there. So you've got good opportunities at the business. If you've got previous work experience and have worked somewhere similar, talk about how much you enjoyed that job and link it to your enjoyment of this job and why you want to continue working in the same industry. Any experience that you have as a customer of Sam's Club, you can talk about. If you've shopped there for a long time and you really like it, talk positively about that. So if you get as many of these ideas as possible into your plan, really plan it out well. When this question comes up, you're going to be totally ready for it and you're going to have a really brilliant answer. So before we finish, as a bonus, let's look at some questions that you could actually ask at the end of your interview. So the first question you should always ask is about what happens next. Show that you actually care about finding out whether you got the job or not, because that's a way of suggesting that you're really, really interested in the job and that you take it seriously. You can also ask them what you should do now to prepare for starting, and that shows some enthusiasm and that you actually care about your performance at the job, so much so that you're actually going to work before you even started to be good at your job. You can also ask about the team that you're going to be working with. And a good question to ask as well is, how would you describe the perfect Sam's Club employee? And they can talk about the sort of things that make a good employee, and you can use that to enter into a discussion about the skills and previous answers that you've discussed and how that matches up with the ideal employee. The last thing you need to do is make up one question on the day to show that you're listening to what they're saying and you're engaging in a two-way conversation with Sam's Club. So I hope this video has been really helpful to you. If it has helped you out, please like the video so other people can discover it, and subscribe for more content around job interviews. I wish you the best of luck in your Sam's Club interview, and finally, thank you very much for watching.